And good morning, everyone. I know it's been a while since I've done this Mariners talk show, but here I am because there were a couple things that really did spark my attention. And well, the first one, I guess we'll go through the good news basically. So the good news for the Mariners, they won their last two games. They absolutely dominated Oakland the last two games with a 16-3 victory. And let's take a look and see what the score was, because how it actually happened, because I didn't cover the game personally because I was doing other things. But home runs included by, hold on, let's let's go to Wednesday. So Wednesday was 16-3 behind brilliant pitching by George Kirby, just about time because he hasn't been any good. It was home runs by Luis Urias. He even had some extra base hits. Randy Arozarena had a great game. Cal Raleigh didn't really do much, but he did walk and did score. He did score twice. Justin Turner scored twice at least, so there was a lot of walks in this game. Victor Robles was on fire, 3 of 4, which is why now he has a 306 batting average. Mitch Garver actually stepped up and got 4 RBIs. Luis Urias was 3 for 4, 4 RBIs, and Dylan Moore with 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. So much better game that was. And then for Thursday, they won 6-4, and I actually listened to this game on radio. Luke Raley had a home run, making it 18th, and then Julio Rodriguez blasted another home run to make it 14 home runs this season. And finally, and then Cal Raleigh hit a home run too to make it 29. So he is getting close to 30 home runs. And Cal Raleigh has actually been one of the top home run hitters in Major League history for career home runs in his first few seasons. And Cal Raleigh, compared to last season, he had 30 home runs, and it seems that he probably will surpass 30 home runs and possibly could surpass for 100 RBIs if only his batting average was a little bit better, because he has a 210 average with a 301 on base percentage. So he really is, unfortunately, the definition of feast or famine. And then for the standings, which is also very good news, here it is. Standings are, Mariners are now 4.5 games back from Houston. Very surprising that they are actually 4.5 games back, because Houston actually got swept by Cincinnati. So had the Mariners sweep Oakland, which they should have because they had opportunities to do so, which including the game that I covered, Mariners would be 2.5 games back. So we wouldn't be talking about such the season that it is hopeless. And now they are 5 games back from wild card, which is, so they didn't really gain much in the wild card. Now Kansas City is starting to fall apart because it didn't help that Minnesota has been winning games when they started struggling. And the 3 wild card contenders, now the Yankees belong to it now that they've been 4-6 in their last 10, Minnesota in their last 4-6 in the last 10, Kansas City 3-7 in their last 10. So maybe there is opportunities to look forward to that. And now going into today's score, or today's game, which is September 6th. It's Friday. Not going to be easy. Mariners are going to be playing the Cardinals. They're also somewhat of contenders. Let's see if they actually are. Cardinals are also 5 games back from the wild card and from the division. If I can identify division, their division, they are 10 games back from the division. So the division's probably long lost for them, but they still have a shot in the wild card. So they're still going to fight for it. Reflect the Sun, how's it going? Thank you very much. One of my strongest donors of this channel. I just want to say thank you very much for doing that, and good morning. Thought I'd provide a morning show for you guys, for anyone that's going to their 9-to-5 jobs, or if they're just driving, or they just need to find a way to wake up, or maybe this is your fitness kind of podcast, or if you're working in a miserable job at a warehouse, this could also be your jam for the day. So Mariners somewhat do have a chance, and let me see the opponents for Friday, because everyone's going to be playing. Rays are going to be playing Baltimore. Yeah, you want the Rays to win that one, sure. Then you got Diamondbacks are playing the Astros, so maybe, I mean, Diamondbacks are 79-62, so they'll be fighting for a division, but man, Houston's getting all these home games, as it seems. Twins and Royals are playing each other. You don't really know who you want to win. If only there could be ties. But those are the key games of the series, and boy. So it's going to be a tough weekend for the Mariners, so what I would say, Mariners are going to have to sweep. They have to sweep the series. I can't even settle for 2 out of 3. Like, I just won't settle for that. Like, 2 of 3 just will not do it for me. So they're going to have to do a lot more than 2 of 3. They're going to have to sweep, and let's sweep them in convincing fashion so you can bring that confidence going back to home against San Diego. Now, am I really here to talk about this? Not quite. Now, what I am going to talk about is the fact that Jerry Dipoto is actually going to be the general manager of the Mariners going forward. And I'll give you my initial reaction to that. But before I give you my actual reaction, here is the ad from SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and other events. They make the buying experience easier by the app ranking each ticket from 0 to 10 to see if you are getting a good deal, and you can see exactly where you are sitting. I regularly use that app, and I have had nothing but a fantastic experience with SeatGeek. Use my promo code RoofTopSports to get $20 off of your first purchase. Link to the code, app, and website will be in the description, so take advantage, and thank you. So it was reported yesterday that Jerry Dipoto is actually going to be the GM moving forward, and after the firing of Scott Service and how this last couple weeks have gone, I was thinking that maybe Jerry Dipoto will be the next man out of the door, which I was hoping for, because after 9 seasons with only 1 playoff appearance, yes, he's gotten a few 90-win seasons. I really thought that it was time for him to just get out of here. But here is the reports that did happen. First, it was broken by Adam Jude. At least he was one of the ones that broke it, that he was expected to return. But yes, as the Mariners, I'm reading an article by Ryan Divish and Adam Jude. Looks like they tag teamed this article. As the Mariners trudged through the final weeks of the 2024 season, trying to desperately to have it not end the season as so many seasons past, the looming failure to finish such sort of the postseason isn't expected to result in repercussions for the top leadership in the office. So the ownership group had already decided by midsummer to proceed for a 10th season with Jerry Dipoto as the head of baseball's club operations, the Seattle Times have learned. So that means Jerry Dipoto is going to be the president of baseball operations. I may have said general manager, but yes, president of baseball operations for the 2025 season and possibly beyond. I'm not happy about this because, first, let me give a credit to Jerry Dipoto. He did a great job developing the farm system. He found the likes of Cal Raleigh, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Bryce Miller. He found all these great core players that helped the team get to the 2022 playoffs. He even signed Julio Rodriguez as a free agent from the Dominican Republic. Like, I have to give him that. I give him credit. He has at least 8 prospects in the top 100, something that I don't think I've seen the Mariners do in the entire history that I have seen the Mariners, or the Mariners in their history in general have had top 10 prospects in the entire country. Like, I got to give him credit for that. He even produced rookies of the year like Kyle Lewis, which unfortunately his career didn't work out due to injuries. And I think that ACL tear from the 2016 minor league season didn't really help him because he really wasn't the same. So it's possible that Mariner fans never actually got to see the true potential of Kyle Lewis, even from day one. It may have been too little too late because it's really tough to come back from an ACL tear. And I think the game I was planning to go was a Kyle Lewis game when he was in the minor leagues in 2016. I was actually planning to go to that game, and that happened to be the game he tore his ACL, but I had to flake out because work probably called me in. I don't really remember. But the problems I've had with Jerry Dipoto, he is not good at free agents. He's only signed maybe what was it? One free agent that was actually a good free agent signing, and that was the only one I remember was Robbie Ray, but then he had the injury, and then the Mariners gave up on him so quickly to trade him for Mitch Haniger, who's basically on 2009 Ken Griffey Jr. levels, where now his reputation is only carried by the nostalgia. But if you take nostalgia away, you'd be criticizing him as much as you've been criticizing Mitch Garver. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten the death threats that was, yes, it was personally underdeserved, but either way, but the criticisms that he's been getting, it was still well-deserved to begin with. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not with this move. And the bad trades that he has done, it really sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, let's put it in order and see. Let's take a look and see what his failing trades were. I'm willing to go all the way back to 2016 just to point out any of those bad trades that he did make. Going into 2016 season, and I have the transaction logs because thanks to this baseball reference website that probably a lot of people use. Let's see what he did from 2015 to 2016. I mean, the only ones I can recall that he did. Okay, maybe 2016 didn't really stick out like a sore thumb, but he did trade away Chris Taylor for Zach Lee. And yes, I understand that Chris Taylor wasn't exactly going to be part of the future of the Mariners, but the player that he got returned didn't work out. Okay, fine. Whatever. Just didn't work out. I mean, he did trade for Daniel Vogelbach out of Mike Montgomery. I did not hate that trade going back on it, but might as well just fast forward. The first trade that really stuck out. I mean, okay, fine. I'll give him credit with that trade for Mitch Haniger, but it did cost Ketel Marte and Taijuan Walker. So maybe if Jerry Dipoto was more patient, or if he was able to develop them better, which he's had issues developing bats, I think maybe it could have turned out better. But even then, I couldn't criticize it too much because did get a few good years out of Mitch Haniger. But the trades that really got bad, the ones that really bother me the most, it was the 2021 season that I had issues with. The problem I had with the 2021 was the 2021 trade deadline. If you remember back then, the Mariners had just defeated the Houston Astros with Dylan Moore hitting a grand slam home run, and the Mariners were actually in decent contention. If I can recall back to that trade deadline and see what date that actually was, I believe it was July 28th was when that trade happened. I mean, I can look at the transactions from here. It was July 27th was the day. So got to go to July 26th for the legitimacy. So not 2026, July 26, 2021, Mariners were third in the division only because Oakland was actually good. They were one game back from the wild card, 6 games back from the division. So maybe had you rode that momentum and beat the Houston Astros, sweep them, you could have cut that lead even further. But what does Jerry Dipoto do? He trades Kendall Graveman and Rafael Montero for an average Joe Smith, literally average Joe, maybe below average Joe Smith, and Abraham Toro. I did not like this trade because it was inappropriate. You just defeated Houston, and you're in contention, and Kendall Graveman was your best pitcher in the relief at the time, and you still trade him away. And not only did you trade him away, you traded him to your division rival. I didn't see a point in that. The only time it maybe would have made sense to do a trade like that was if you're in a rebuilding mode. If you did this back in 2019 and let's say the age was around the same thing, then yeah, I would have been okay, fine. We got Abraham Toro. Let's see what he can do. And even then, I think Jerry Dipoto should have got more than that. Because think about it. 1997, I know GMs are different. Timing was different. But the Red Sox had this really struggling pitcher in Heathcliff Slocum. What did he get out of that? Out of the Mariners? Jason Varitek, and Derek Lowe, which both of them contributed to breaking the curse in Boston. But yes, I get it. It was different times, but knowing that the Mariners made a trade like that, where they basically hauled their farm system for a struggling Heathcliff Slocum. Yeah, he was an all-star in 95, but that was 2 years prior. I still wonder what Jerry Dipoto could have actually gotten if he was actually understood the value of Kendall Graveman. Maybe he should have gotten a lot more of that. I would think that compared to the trade with Heathcliff Slocum, had an above 5 ERA, got 2 eventual All-Stars and 2 curse breakers. I'm thinking that Kendall Graveman trade should have turned into something a lot more than Abraham Toro. But no, Jerry Dipoto just didn't do it. I still don't even understand why he did. Like, was it ownership was probably too scared to pay for his contract, so I guess that played a role, but still should have sold the idea that you were actually competing for the playoffs. And yeah, sure, Jerry Dipoto made up for it by trading for Diego Castillo, but then he turned into a dud, unfortunately. So that was a trade that really stuck out, and got to rewind. Fine, I'll give credit to that Ty France trade where he got it off of Austin Nola, basically, and got Andres Munoz. Okay, fine. That was a really good trade. So seems like Jerry Dipoto's only good at making trades when it's like, it seems he's only good at making trades when he's only rebuilding. So I guess if you want him to rebuild the farm system, yeah, go ahead and do that. You use him for that. But when you're contending for a World Series, Jerry Dipoto should not even be allowed to be part of this team. And then bad trades of 2023. He traded away Paul Sewald during contention, and he got Ryan Bliss, Dominic Canzone, and Josh Rojas. Josh Rojas has been a platoon player at best. He's shown flashes, but that's about it. Decent defense. He has pretty good athleticism, but that's about it. Dominic Canzone's been unbelievably a bust. Like, here's his numbers. I'll even go to 2023. In 44 games, had 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 24 strikeouts. I mean, I actually had some hope for Dom Canzone. He really did show flashes of potential, but again, in that 2023 season, it wasn't time to make a trade like that. It just wasn't. Like, that was a time to like trade for offense or trade for a bullpen. But I was like, okay, fine. He's an exciting player. It's a nice swing. Then you go into 2024, heavily injured season, played just 67 games, 8 home runs and 17 RBIs, 53 strikeouts to 18 walks, batting 196 with a 271 OBP. So he actually regressed. His OPS went down. His batting average went down. His slugging percentage went down. The only thing that went up was his on-base percentage. So I still didn't get the trade of that. And plus, Paul Sewald was under contract for 1 more season. So I would have just rode for 1 more season with him. So, and the Mariners, they had some notable blown saves after that. So I did not agree with that trade either. And then let's go back to that Eugenio Suarez trade, where he traded away Eugenio Suarez and got a guy named Carlos Vargas, I believe that's his name, and then Sevi Savala. How did Sevi Savala do? Did absolutely nothing. He couldn't even... He caused these wild pitches, made bad pitch selections for his pitchers, bad hitter, and Carlos Vargas hasn't really done much in the minor leagues either. So Jerry Dipoto probably should have sold it even better to get even more out of Eugenio Suarez, because I guess ownership said that they were slashing payroll, but the trade could have been much better salvaged if he got a better return on that trade. But I guess they were scared of the fact that he was actually possibly regressing. Oh, wait, he's actually having a good season. Never mind. And then the Jared Kelenic trade. That was just the excuse to get rid of Marco Gonzalez and Evan White's contracts, which, by the way, Evan White should have never gotten that extension. I still don't understand why he got that extension, or even just that new contract. He hadn't even cracked into Major League Baseball, and they still gave him that contract. Still didn't get that at all. But yeah, the Jared Kelenic trade, what did they get out of that? What did they get out of the Jared Kelenic trade as a convenient excuse just to slash payroll? What did they get out of that trade? It was Marco Gonzalez, Jared Kelenic, Evan White to the Braves for Cole Phillips, who now has Tommy John, and Jackson Kowar. Bad trade. It was just a really bad trade. Did not like that trade one bit. I knew that it was not going to work. Like, the only way that it would have worked was if Jackson Kowar wasn't injured and actually did show his upside in spring training. But that, unfortunately, never happened. And then the bad signings, can we go over it, was when he signed Mitch Garver, and now Garver has one more year left in his contract. Now that Mitch Haniger trade is starting to age like milk, like, because I thought that was actually a good trade, because I thought maybe Mitch Haniger had one more season in him, even though he had already dealt with injuries with the Giants. But I delusionally went with the every 3-year rule, where 2018 he was healthy. 3 years later, 2021, he was healthy and good. At least 2024, he was healthy-ish, but his performance has just been atrocious. Now let's look at Mitch Haniger's performance this season. 12 home runs, 208 on-base percentage, 208 batting average, 284 OBP, 384 slugging, 341 slugging, 625 OPS, and an 84 OPS plus. Now, compared to Robbie Ray, how's he been doing this season? 3-2, the 4.70 ERA, not great, but if you put him in the Mariners rotation, especially with that T-Mobile Park advantage, maybe you would have taken that. I certainly would have taken that for sure. Now, before I get into further rants about Jared Dipoto, we got this one. Nice stream. Keep it up. I enjoy this game and would love to play together. I'm also a streamer. Please add. Okay. Well, yeah. Welcome, and I do appreciate your comments. Now, before I get even further into ranting about Jared Dipoto, here's a word from our sponsor, SoFi Bank. SoFi is an online bank and a personal financing company offering financial diverse products. They hold the naming rights to the home of the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers, named SoFi Stadium. They offer amazing checking and savings accounts where you can get up to 4.6% on savings accounts. There are no monthly fees to maintain the accounts, and they have over 55,000 no-fee ATMs around the United States. You even have access to a budgeting program, stock trading, and insurance programs. Join SoFi and get $25 for joining and or $25 for opening a stock trading account. Links are available in the description. And thank you. And lastly, I am not a financial advisor, so either find a professional financial advisor or go with your own gut. Yeah, definitely go with your own gut. Do not ask me for advice because I am not a financial advisor. All I'm trying to do is just give you an opportunity to get free money out of me by using that promo code RoofTopSports, and the links will be available in the description of this video, so head over to that. Other things I want to go over Jared Dipoto. What about that offseason in 2023? After the offseason of 23 going into 24. Remember those 2 comments that he said? We're actually doing the fan base a favor, and if we win 54% of the games, that really did show the arrogance of Jared Dipoto. Like, doing the fan base a favor, like, what? Of not making the playoffs consistently? Yeah, that is definitely doing me a favor. 54%, where they did win 54% pretty much in the 19 last season, but they missed the playoffs and they won 90 games, missed the playoffs. They won plenty of 54%. So what are you talking about? And you know what? You know what I want to see again? I want to see the Mariners win 54% of their games again and miss the playoffs, just so I can make a YouTube short going, to win 54% of the games, you could win the World Series. And I'll cut onto a video going, Mariners missed the playoffs with a 54%, 540 winning percentage. But seriously, after going through all the transactions I went through, including some disastrous free agency signings like Tommy LaStella, Colton Wong, okay, that was a trade. And like, what other signings? AJ Pollock, I think I've already said his name by now. Like, do you really want to go through another season, 2025, with Jerry Dipoto? Like, do you really want to? Just look in your eyes, look in the mirror. Do you really want to see another season of Jerry Dipoto? Because I certainly do not. Like, I just think his time is up. He built the farm system the best he could. You just got to find someone better. But then someone's going to ask, well, Rooftop, well, who are you going to find? Well, there's options. There's Theo Epstein. He doesn't have a GM job right now. You can definitely go get him. He broke 2 curses that no other GM could do. You could definitely get him on board if you can pay him. That's the thing. The ownership has just got to open up their pockets. Now, I know it's a kicking dead horse thing, but the thing is I can say is they just got to go with someone that actually has been a proven winner. And the Mariners have done that before. They got Pat Gillick before. He was a proven winner. He helped build World Series out of the Toronto Blue Jays. He built a contender with Baltimore on Cal Ripken's heydays. And the manager, well, I'll go into manager later. But I think at this time, with the core that the Mariners have, and it's not going to get any easier, and especially with players getting more expensive, I really thought that these last 2 years were the years to get it right. I really thought 2023 was critical because when you have an amazing playoff run, for our standards at least, where you defeated the Toronto Blue Jays and you at least made those 3 games against Houston at least competitive, you should have went after it after that. You should have built on that. They had opportunities to do that. They really did. But they didn't make any good moves. Like, Colton Wong is not a winning move. AJ Pollock, not a winning move. Tommy LaStella, not a winning move. Like, sure, Teoscar Hernandez, fine. Which costed Eric Swanson, by the way. And by the way, I think the Mariners could have traded for him when they were getting the likes of Jimmy Garcia, who's not even available right now. But I think you could have added him, have a throw-in that package. Could have gotten Jimmy Garcia and Eric Swanson, because I was begging the Mariners for months to actually get Eric Swanson, because I think that would have been a good trade, because like Jerry Dipoto does, he can bring a bunch of garbage pitchers into and make them into gold. He literally can turn crap into gold, which I do respect about that. That's another thing I got to give Jerry Dipoto, but he just cannot build an offense. He just can't build any kind of an offense. So I can't trust this guy going forward. And I just won't. Like, it just seems that next season is going to be hopeless. And why is it hopeless? You got Cal Raleigh, you got George Kirby, and Logan Gilbert. They are going into arbitration. That means they're going to go up in price. So does that mean the Mariners are going to trade away more of their players? Probably, unless the ownership actually opens up their checkbooks. But I don't see that happening, because this team is not really owned by John Stanton at its full. You also got Chris Larson, who also has a say in it. They're also run by board members, ran by, you know it, and maybe you don't know it, Howard Lincoln, the former CEO of the Mariners from 2000 to 2016. What about John Ellis of the 90s? John Ellis oversaw the 95 team, and he allowed that team to be taken apart by slashing payroll. Howard Lincoln, remember that quote of, our goal is to not win a World Series. Our goal is to field a competitive team year after year to put itself in position to win a World Series. And what happens after 2 years? They lose 99 games. So pretty much a trolling statement by Howard Lincoln, if you ask me. Boy. But yeah, next season, you're going to go into that season with all those payrolls. Yeah, with increasing the payroll. So that means you're going to cut payroll even further. Like, and now you're going to have to depend on the farm system, which, by the way, the top farm players I wouldn't say that they're necessarily MLB ready. And I'll even go over that list of the top 100 prospects. Well, not top 100 prospects, but top prospects by Mariners. So I'll be able to show you the top 30. And here are the best ones so far. You got Colt Emerson, Cole Young, Lazaro Montez, Harry Ford, Felnine Celestine, Tyler Locklear. I can't even say this guy, but this was the first round pick. I'm not even going to say his name, but I'll put it in the chat just for you guys. There. I put it in the chat box. So that's who it is. That's the other prospect that you might be excited about, which he just got drafted. He's only 21 years old. Ryan Sloan, Johnny Farmelo, who tore his ACL, Logan Evans, who they tried to make him a relief pitcher, which didn't work out. So those are your top 10. Now, the ones that you might see as MLB ready, Cole Young, maybe by next season, which, by the way, I think they should give him a shot for the 2024 season. Like, let him call him up and see what he can do, because it'll be much easier because Jorge Polanco, he's definitely not coming back. He's a team option, and with how he played, I wouldn't bring him back. I mean, if he does play well somewhere else, so be it. Harry Ford, maybe, but he's 21 years old, and usually there's hesitations when you're calling up a catcher. Ty Locklear, who's already shown some things, but he's not going to do it because it's already congested with Luke Raley and Justin Turner. So I think that first base spot is taken. So even with prospects, you're maybe going to be able to call up Ty Locklear and Cole Young and maybe Harry Ford. But I think Harry Ford, just by the fact that he's a catcher and he tends to strike out a lot, he's probably not going to be available until maybe mid-2025. So I think they're going to hold on to him there. But Cole Young and Ty Locklear from next season, maybe. And I wonder if that will give Jerry Dipoto even further the excuse that he is not going to make any legitimate moves at the end of the season, because let's go into next season and see what they need. And let me write this down too. Like, going into the next season. So catcher, you got Cal Raleigh, fine. First base, you definitely need something there, because I don't know if Luke Raley, I mean, he's been the fact that he's been one of your best hitters is kind of embarrassing, but I would still see if what you can get out of first base. See what's in the market. Second base, you got to replace that. Maybe put in Cole Young as your second baseman, especially if JP Crawford is still going to be the shortstop going forward, which I am not a fan of that. Shortstop, I guess JP Crawford, but Cole Young, again, his job's going to be taken. So Mariners got to find an upgrade between second base and shortstop at that point. So I might just put that as an X, but according to Jerry Dipoto, he's still going to keep the faith in him. Third base, you still need a third baseman, because Josh Rojas has already proven that he cannot be a third baseman. Left field, you've got Randy Arozarena, but he just looks completely disinterested in this team. He's not really putting in the effort. So even then, I might put that as an X, because assuming the Mariners trade him, because he'll also go into arbitration years. That could very much happen. Center fielder Julio Rodriguez, fine. Yeah, he's your franchise player. He's been picking up a couple weeks. Okay. Right field, you got Victor Robles. And the only reason I'm putting a check mark on that is because I mean, you got to use him. So I guess next season you have Luke Raley, Julio Rodriguez, and Victor Robles, and I guess Randy Arozarena. But aside from that, your deep of needs are going to be your first base, second base, shortstop, and third base. And I'm sure Cole Young is going to take that because of the cheapness of ownership, and Tyler Locklear. So really, even if you put those prospects, and even if they do work out, you have to find a replacement for shortstop and third base. And that's me being nice. But aside from that, good ownership would have gotten a first baseman, second baseman, shortstop, and third base. And now I want to take a look at the contracts going into next season. Mariners contracts 2024, which I'm not looking forward to looking at right now. Or shall I say 2025? Let's see what the contracts are. So for potential 2025, you've got And this is if they're all staying, of course, because everyone else is going to be free agents. I mean, let's take a look at 2024 season, shall we? So the ones that are done after this season. Man, I don't like this website at all. I need a better one that actually shows the better payroll side of it. And I don't like really, frankly, I don't even like any of these websites. Let's try this one. Okay, I don't like this one either. Let's go into this one. This one's much better. Man, Baseball Reference is a really good website. So going into 2024, let's see who is gone after this season. So you've got, well, here's the other thing. Julio Rodriguez is going into $20 million. JP Crawford's still locked until 2026. You got Luis Castillo locked into 2027. But the players that I see that have expiring contracts, you've got Jorge Polanco, who has a team option, so he's going to be gone. Mitch Haniger is actually going to have one more year in his contract. So that's going to be a $15.5 million contract. And does he have any trade value? Absolutely not. And even if you could trade him, you're going to pay most of it to get out of it. So if you can negotiate to like pay half the contract, maybe. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up doing the Bobby Bonilla deal. And if anyone's wondering what a Bobby Bonilla deal is, you basically do the deferment and you have to pay interest rates. Mitch Garver, he's going to be locked in. Jimmy Garcia, yeah, he's definitely gone. Justin Turner, definitely gone after this season. I don't see an extension happening for Jimmy Garcia. And the Mariners gave up quite a bit to get him. Like, they gave up Jonathan Clase for him, which, speak of, I'm kind of curious how Jonathan Clase is even doing this season with the Toronto Blue Jays, if he's even playing for them. He's actually in the minor league system right now. And how is he doing as a minor leaguer? He hasn't even, I don't think he's even played. Haven't seen him played at all. Anyways, Randy Arozarena is gonna go into arbitration years. Josh Rojas going to go into arbitration. I wonder if you just get rid of him from there. Logan Gilbert's going to arbitration, which means he's going to be more expensive. So there's a lot of pre-arbitration players that you got to deal with. Some of them will be easy to get rid of. Like, so I guess they'll maybe save money from there, but it's not really saying much at all. But yeah, Victor Robles has signed into another extension. But the ones I'm really concerned about are Logan Gilbert. Yeah, Logan Gilbert's the one I'm really concerned about. George Kirby, I'm very concerned. Cal Raleigh is going to arbitration. Matt Brash has a pre-arbitration, so that's happening really quickly. And also Luke Raley is going to pre-arbitration. So the price is only going to get more expensive for the Mariners just to keep them. And you would have to hope that they're getting any better, which they're not. You got Brian Wu going to pre-arb. Gregory Santos. So this is going to be a pretty ugly offseason, just looking at that. And who's going to be under contract for 2025? Guaranteed. You got Luis Castillo, Julio Rodriguez, Mitch Haniger, Mitch Garver, JP Crawford, which, by the way, I think he's not going to last. I think he's going to be gone after the 2026 season, frankly. Dylan Moore is going into a contract year. Andres Munoz. I wonder if did they even sign Andres Munoz to an extension? It looks like no, he's going in the pre-arbitration year, so you have to lock him up eventually. So this is why I don't want to be trusted. I don't want to trust Jerry Dipoto going into the next season because he's got a lot of work to do, and he's probably going to trade away a few of those players. Like, don't be surprised if the likes of Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, or even Cal Raleigh are traded just to, quote, save money. So, not looking forward to this. Not looking forward to this one bit. And I don't want to go into another... And I'm definitely going to watch that press conference of Jerry Dipoto and react to it just so I can hear him say, we're doing the fan base a favor again, or I don't know. Not looking forward to it. Now, I think I've said enough I could about Jerry Dipoto. I've talked about his bad transactions, talked about what he's got going against him. But I guess let's go into 2024 free agency. Talk about that. And then Oh, 2025 free agency. My bad. 2025 MLB free agents. We'll talk about that. Then I'll talk about one more move that Jerry Dipoto should have done, which unfortunately he didn't do, which was very unfortunate. It was very a shame that he didn't do it. But I think he should have done it. Should have made the trade. Or he should have made the move, but he did make the move. But here's the notable free agents going into the next season. I'll just read it off. You got Max Scherzer, injured prone, by the way. Justin Verlander is probably on his downside of his career, but would I see if the Mariners should go for him? Maybe. Could give you another veteran presence. Maybe put him as a 5-starter, maybe. And let me double check and see how Verlander's doing with the Houston Astros, because I think he could do well in T-Mobile Park, too. So Justin Verlander, 3-5 with a 4.52 since coming back, so he hasn't been exactly great, but maybe he still has years ahead of him. And BC, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Chris Taylor? Sounds like it. All right. Then we got Garrett Cole, who's actually going to have an opt-out clause. So it looks like he can opt out of that. Juan Soto. I definitely want the Mariners to go for him, but are they going to? Probably not. Blake Snell has a player option. I imagine he's going to opt out. Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, Teoscar Hernandez, which obviously I don't see the Mariners going for him. He's going to get a big contract too. Patrick Corbin, nah. Robbie Ray, maybe bring him back if you're willing to deal with that post-Tommy John Robbie Ray. But you can add some depth. Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Michael Conforto. So there is actual free agents out there. Like, I don't want to hear anything of like, oh, there's nobody available. No, there are players going to be available. Like, this could be a very polarizing free agency. I would try to see if you could get even any of these guys. Like, any of them. Paul Sewald. Heck, maybe get him back. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, and maybe he won't necessarily ask for a big amount of money. So there are ways to salvage 2025. It's just that, will the ownership allow Jerry Dipoto to salvage it? No. And will Jerry Dipoto make actually good moves? No. Probably not. But the free agency is definitely something to look forward to. So I'm looking forward to it. But what I would like to see is maybe the Mariners, if they do, maybe they do trade away one of those starters, like Luis Castillo. I'd unload him, get some bats, and then replace him with Blake Snell. Like, why not do that? Let's see if that's even possible to do that. Let's see if you can do that. Like, Luis Castillo, he is due. He's got 3 more years left in his contract. He's actually still a good player. Was an all-star last season. So you unload him, and you can save money to maybe replace him with Blake Snell, I guess, but he's probably going to be worth around $40 million. With good ownership, maybe he can do that. Cody Bellinger, maybe you see if you can go get a shot and get him. So, but yeah, bottom line, for this kind of free agency, I don't trust Jerry Dipoto to do this. And I know it's kicking a dead horse, but the ownership, I really hope spends more money. But with the pre-arbitration years, and from what I've heard from Ryan Divish, it seems very possible that they're not going to spend any more money, unfortunately, for the rest of the era of the window of the Mariners contention window. Because realistically, with those arbitration years of 3 years, they realistically only have like 3 more years. And I'm only saying it lightly. It could be just 2. So I really hope that the Mariners figure something out. Get a new general manager, or Jerry Dipoto, if you can really step up your game. And the fact that they're even going to say he may be a general manager, or he may be president of baseball operations going forward after 2025 is an absolute shame. They should not be giving him that much time. Maybe you should have gone into the 2025 season, at least bare minimum. John Stanton should have said, hey, you're not doing too good. You rub your fan base the wrong way. You said that you were doing them a favor. The whole 54%. If I'm being nice, I'll give you a half season. And if you can't get it done by then, You're done. So I would, if I were John Stanton and I was willing to keep Jared Dipoto, I would have done that. Like, do some kind of like incentive against him and say that if you can't figure this out, you are not the GM going forward. But instead, John Stanton's like, he might actually give him beyond 2025. No, he doesn't deserve that. Yes, again, he built the farm system. Fine, whatever. And I know that there's a lot of Mariner fans that are going to be defending him for that. But I'm not. I want a World Series. I don't want flexibility. I don't want hope anymore. I want World Series. They should have done it in his first few years of Jared Dipoto, but they're like, oh, well, he had the Jack Zarenzek. No, none of the excuses. And don't even get me started with that T-Mobile excuse either, because the Mariners have had an well above 500 record at home, and they have problems on the road, and that's with more hitter-friendly ballparks. So I don't get the excuse on that one. So I think it's a flawed excuse to blame T-Mobile Park for lack of offense. Although Teoscar Hernandez had his complaints. But speak of, the last thing I wanted to go over was Teoscar Hernandez. Mariners had a chance to give him a qualifying offer. It was going to be around $20 million. They didn't do it. They didn't even offer him the $20 million, which by the time, idiotically, I was actually okay with that because I was just done with Teoscar Hernandez because I didn't like his defense. And they struck out so much, but now I regret it. So I'll eat my words on that, and you guys can rail me all they want. So you can say that, oh, Rooftop getting rid of Teoscar Hernandez was saying was a good idea. But here was the thing. Had the Mariners offered the qualifying offer to Teoscar Hernandez, and he said no, the Dodgers would have been forced to fork over their first-round pick. And had the Mariners done that, I would have been okay with that. Like, that would have been actually good. So all you had to do was put in a blank check. And if Teoscar said no because I hate T-Mobile Park, you get a first-round pick. They should have went for the qualifier because he would have said no, probably. And he would have, and that would have got them the first-round pick. But he didn't do that. Jerry didn't even do the bare minimum on that. But that's all I got to say. I know I had to have a morning rant on this, but you know what? This was a really good way for me to wake up this morning because I decided to wake up for you guys and just express how exactly I feel about the Mariners going forward. I have to say, it's not much of a problem. No, it's not much of a problem. It's hopeless. But yes, I got it off my chest. I should have got it off my chest last night. But I wanted to do it in the morning so people can get my rants going into their 9-to-5 jobs or whatever jobs. But I'm going to go over the comments. And while I'm doing that, if you can do me a favor, not only hit the like button, subscribe, donate to this channel too. All right, so what do we got here? If we can narrow this game, 2 games or less. Oh, yeah, the travel to the Commanders. Commanders? Do you mean... I'm confused about the Commanders thing. Yeah, when you're spending $100 million or less than the top teams, you can't make bad contracts or trades, which they did. Yeah, how did they sign Evan White to his contract when he's done 0 in the majors, minimal in the minors? That one blows my mind. It really did. But I signed him before our Rookie of the Year. Yeah, that was true. They screwed over Kyle Lewis too. 54%. If we do that now, that's 13 of 21. Probably missed the playoffs. Yep, sounds about right. Gene Segura. Well, oh, we didn't re-sign Gene Segura because they were rebuilding, and then that turned into JP Crawford, which I was still okay with that trade because it was time to move on. Heard he was not exactly a great teammate either. And yeah, Dennis Strand makes a good point. 2001 Mariners did not have a problem hitting at Safeco Field. They certainly did not. So that's why I don't buy the T-Mobile Park excuse. I still think it's a dead excuse because they play better on the home anyway. Well, I think that's going to do it. I definitely appreciate you guys being on this show for me this morning, giving me some of that engagement. Plans I do have, so I'm not going to be able to cover any of the games this weekend. Maybe Sunday is possible, that I cover the games, but I don't know exactly quite yet. And also there's that Seahawks game, so I might be more inclined to actually cover that instead. So I think I'm going to focus on that one if the time permits me. But the next games that I'm possibly going to be able to cover is Tuesday and Wednesday. And Wednesday, I really want to cover it because it will be the September 11th game anniversary. So I definitely want to cover that. And then going September 10th, because it's Tuesday, not the availability. Yeah, I think I'd probably do that one too. So I'll keep you guys updated. But anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Definitely appreciate you guys being here. And just want to say, go Mariners.